So for anyone dealing with the 1 gas 7 gate, that's what we're going to be looking at now. I'll make a little highlight for YouTube of this. So basically, we're assuming we're doing a very safe ZVP opening. Pool hatch, of course, this is what you were doing, man. Our opponent's basically going to be doing the greediest opening, Nexus first, no probe scout, into just gateway, gas, cybercore. Really greedy, fast 7 gate where they can warp in. I think it starts off with 5 stalkers at like 6 minutes 50 is the first warp in, when it's done perfectly, and then like very soon after there's just shitloads of zealots and stalkers coming in, and it hits so incredibly fast that most players just die. So the most important thing is you see the Nexus first timing, so you can immediately go straight into their base. You know this, you know you're safe. I'm just very quickly going to put my hotkeys back so that I can be a little bit smoother as I explain all this, and I'll just change my special layout back to typing. There we go. Alright, so the Overlord comes in, you immediately see the Cybercore is still in the halfway done, so you're just droning up doing your standard. You've taken a 4-minute third base, very standard 3-hatch gasless build order. As soon as you see this, you basically want to sit in vision of both the gas preferably and the gateway. I'm slightly off center here. I should be just up to the right a little bit. And what you're looking for is that flashing lights on the gateway. Not even the chrono. I mean, it's nice to see that, but I'm just seeing if they're going to build a stalker or not. And I'm just trying to stay in and keep eyes on this gas as long as possible. And I'm only leaving once I see that light's there, because it could be a stalker building. And I'm going to come around, and on this map, luckily I can, and most maps you can kind of sit on the edge where a stalker won't be able to kill me. I can just kind of sit there. If a stalker comes over, I'll have to run away, but I can keep eyes on this gas geyser. And as long as there's no gas there, I've got the knowledge. Likewise, I've got my other Overlord moving over towards the natural gases. As soon as I saw what build order it was, I changed the path of this Overlord, knowing the first Overlord, rather than sitting over here, the first Overlord could go into the main base safely. So this Overlord's come over, and he's just going to sit in vision of those gases. So we're watching all 3 gases at once, and we know as long as there's no gas, Protoss can't really do anything. Technically, he could take a third base, so he could put a Zergling there, but I'm going to be pretty active with my Zergling scouts, so I'm going to keep an eye on that. Let's rewind a little bit, and let's keep it... Yeah. So right about here. So as soon as you've seen that it's a 1 gas opening, you haven't seen a gas go down by about 4 minutes 30, it's a 1 gas build. They're severely limiting their tech. There's no smooth tech transition or long-term transition from here. It's really, really limited. So immediately we drop 2 gases at about 5 minutes and 5 seconds, 5 minutes and 10 seconds, anywhere around there. And notice we're not going to start a 3rd queen because we're very aware of the possibility of this fast 7 gate. A queen doesn't do a lot against it. It's more important for us to get our Roach Warren up. In this game, we're actually going to drop our Roach Warren a little bit late. But first of all, spreading creep out front our natural after our first inject. This creep out here is so important because we're only going to have slow roaches, and off creep they cannot fight stalkers. The stalkers are too fast. We see a Roach Warren going down now. It went down about 5:45. I would say about 5:35 to 5:40 is probably the ideal timing for your Roach Warren. Takes less than a minute to finish. That means by the time the stalkers start to warp in down here, I'm going to have roaches already halfway built. So the roaches will have time to rally up at the front and gather together. Now it's very important I keep spreading this creep. I need to get creep to my 3rd base. If I can't connect those, I can't micro properly. Now, another point we notice is 40 supply. This is the place where most Zergs go wrong. They say 2 base Protoss, I need to get 50 drones before I start building units. Guess what? You do not. You only need about 34, 35 drones. What do we have? We've got 35. So 6 guys on gas, and then 29 guys on minerals. So not even 2 mineral lines fully saturated. 13 on one, 14 on the other. Seems like next to nothing, but if we look at our opponent, he's only got 2 mineral lines on 16 probes and 1 gas mining. All we need to do is have enough units to hold off the initial pressure, and then we can drone up our bases like crazy because we'll have multiple queens, multiple hatcheries, whereas his transition will be so slow and shit that we'll be infinitely ahead. So we have to be willing to handicap our drone economy, just survive, and then we win. There's no transition for Protoss. So from here, you basically just save everything for roaches. Notice I built lots of Overlords, 40 out of 70, and I'm just going to build as many roaches as possible. Obviously, you are off racing. You're playing the Protoss player here, Longy, so it's not the most perfect execution, but it's pretty damn close to it. I think the main thing which you could have done better with was your micro. Normally, a really good Protoss player will be very good at focus firing roaches with the Stalkers and stuttering them back and forth, and the roaches go down very quickly, and they let the Zealots fight the Zerglings as much as possible. That being said, all I'm doing is not thinking of drones, just roaches, and adding Zerglings with any excess minerals I have. From here, I just want to stay on creep. I only want to fight on creep, and with the micro, whenever there's a lot of Zealots, I want to stutter backwards. Shoot a volley, move back. Shoot a volley, move back. Whenever the Stalkers are exposed or I feel there's not many Zealots, I like to run up to the Stalkers and focus fire the Stalkers, because the Stalkers are the really valuable units for the Protoss here. But when there's this many roaches, the Zealots, you've got to pull back. You've got to just pull your units back. The Stalkers get a bit distracted there. And once the Zealots are gone, now we hug the Stalkers.
Yeah.
Now we move forward, get some of those Stalkers on the retreat, and just constantly produce units. Only, I'd say after the next trade, I think, is when I'll start to feel really confident, because I'll have such a big ball of roaches out. Once you really feel like there's no way you can die, that's when you start to add in some drones, maybe a lair, some queens. You start to transition a little bit. You never really try to force your way off creep, because your units become way less efficient off creep. Now, what if your opponent transitions? How do you know? This is why it's very, very important to keep your overlords in position. So let's look at our vision. And I was looking every day, now and then. You can see all 3 gas geysers. As long as no gas goes down, there's nothing good happening for the Protoss player at home. And that's it. Pretty easy from there. GG's.
So 505 double gas, 530-ish, 540-ish roach wearing, and then you stop at 35 drones, and creep spread after first inject the natural, and then make roaches.
Absolutely. Add speedlings to fill out the rest of your supply. They absorb stalker shots really well, but roaches are the core. So the micro as well, rehashing, pull back against zealots and stutter step against not many zealots, stutter step forwards and shoot down the stalkers, focus fire them. Easy peasy, GG's.
I had to have the Protoss Manor at the end of the game. G and then Z Imba.